Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. My name is Ali Yusuf, and I would like to welcome you all to the NJ Dawah's one of our many lectures called Fiqh of Dawah, led by Sheikh Jawad Ahmed. Sheikh Jawad Ahmed is a ISNJ Imam of Islamic Society of North Jersey. He joined in 2019, and previously he was the Imam of the Muslim Center of New York. He holds a bachelor's degree in Islamic Studies from the International Islamic University in Islamabad, Pakistan, and he has specialized in tafsir and hadith. And today, Sheikh Jawad is going to teach us the fiqh of giving dawah throughout our daily lives and how we should go about it and what are some things we should watch out for. So without further ado, I would like to invite Sheikh Jawad to the screen. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Jawad.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Can you hear me just fine?
Perfect.
Alhamdulillah. I hope I didn't say anything incorrect in your bio.
No, that's fine. Perfect.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Well, without further ado, I'll let you take it over from here. So let me know if there's anything you may need. I'll be right here in the background.
Can you share the screen? I sent you the presentation. If you can upload that.
One moment.
Or I can share it from my screen.
I believe you can also share from your screen. One moment. Let's see. Just give me. Yeah. Okay. I know how to do it.
Okay. I'm sharing it now.
Let's go full screen. Oh my gosh.
Okay. You can see that on screen?
1 second, sir. 1 second, Sheikh. Yes, perfect. That is perfect.
Good.
You can go ahead and begin as you feel comfortable. Yep.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه من سن بسنة الدين أما بعد ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا واجتنابه اللهم إنا نسألك خير ما سألك عبدك رسولك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ بك عبدك رسولك نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome to NJ Dawah program, Fiqh of Dawah. Thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedules on a Saturday afternoon with the beautiful weather out there to learn how to give dawah to others. When we talk about dawah, there are certain aspects that we need to be aware of because when we're inviting somebody to our religion, our faith, there are certain protocols, certain etiquettes, certain manners that we as a da'i or a da'iyah need to be aware of. Secondly, the audience to whom we are giving the da'wah, we need to be aware of them too, because then only can we engage them in a dialogue. See, da'wah is a two-way street. It's a two-way communication, a dialogue. You say something, your recipient says something, replies back to you, and then you converse with each other. And this conversation or dialogue further elongates and brings clarification in the mind of people, especially in the current era that we live in this time and age, where people are bent upon portraying Islam in a negative way and trying to defame Islam with every tool possible that they have, spending thousands and thousands of dollars. We, on the other hand, don't have thousands of dollars. We have very meager resources. and minimal amount of human resource. As you see, there are millions of Muslims here in America, but you don't see every one of them engage in dawah. A majority of the Muslims are having a nice American dream lifestyle here. Little do they worry about sharing their faith, their culture, their values, their practices with fellow neighbors. Understand one thing, my dear one, sister Islam, as American Muslims, it is our fundamental duty and obligation to share the fundamentals of our faith with other people and not to hide it, not to be introvert. Allah has brought us here for a good reason. If we were brought here by our parents as immigrants, obviously it was Allah who facilitated, allowed that. If we were born in this country and raised in this country, again, that is also for a good reason, that Allah wanted the Muslim population on this continent called North America to grow. Because one thing is for sure that we all know, it's part of our aqidah, our belief system, that there's no more prophets to come. The job of the prophets was to relay the message of Allah, deliver the kalam of the word of Allah. Prophets have ended with the last prophet that came 1460 years ago or so, Prophet Muhammad. So we know for a fact one thing, that there's no more prophet to come. So if there's no more prophet to come, who's going to do this work? The work cannot stop. Just because there's no more prophets to come on earth, it doesn't mean that the word of God will cease to exist. It doesn't mean that the religion accepted by Allah will cease to exist on earth. That work has to continue. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon the followers of the last prophet, Muhammad sallallahu, this great, huge responsibility of delivering the message. You see, the previous people, the previous qawm, ummah, or nations, they did not have this responsibility. They had prophets coming and going in their nation, in their tribe. Whether you pick up the Bani Israel or you pick up any other qawm, the prophets were coming and going. So the society or the people, the inhabitants, did not have this burden on their shoulder that they have to relay this message of their faith to other people because, hey, there's a prophet present on earth and that's his job. But for the last 1460 years or so, there is no more prophet to come. So naturally, this is a privilege, you can say. This is an honor, a privilege that we have been chosen by Allah. Allah did not choose the previous nations. The previous followers of the prophets were not chosen by Allah because Allah had chosen prophets to do that work. Now that Allah has stopped sending prophets, He told Prophet Muhammad that tell your followers that after you, they have to carry on this work until when? Until Yawm al-Qiyamah, Day of Judgment. So we got something for free, by the way, brothers and sisters, if you don't realize this. We as Muslims got something for free, all decorated on a plate, and given to us, handed down to us that, look, hey, followers of Muhammad the Ummah of Muhammad carry this mission, carry this work on. Because it's such a high honor and because we were God gifted this by birth, we don't realize its importance, its value. We take it for granted. In fact, we don't even value it. If you tell somebody, hey, you want to give dawah? Well, me? Dawah? I ain't got time for this. Beep. And then you know what they say after that. I mean, people are so busy in their life making money, raising families, career, jobs, that simply speaking, they say we have no time for dawah. When the prime objective of a Muslim, of a follower of Muhammad is dawah. First is dawah ilallah and then everything else. Allah created us as a da'i, especially for the Muslims living in the Western world. It is the burden of delivering the message, the onus of that that burden lies upon them. Because on Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah's not going to ask the Muslims living in Muslim countries, hey, what did you do to talk about Islam to your fellow Muslims in that sense? Non-Muslims, because if there are very few non-Muslims in that area, that is not there. But Allah will definitely ask all those Muslims who are living in Western countries, in Western world, where Islam is not practiced. Allah will definitely ask each one of them that, hey, I put you in that place, I put you in that geographical location on earth. What did you do for my faith, for my religion? What did you do for Islam? What did you do for Muhammad sallallahu? You claim to love Muhammad sallallahu. You claim to sacrifice yourself for Muhammad sallallahu. And Muhammad sallallahu left behind his sunnah, left behind his legacy. What have you done for that? So dawah is not just the job of a few bunch of people in an organization doing something. Dawah is for every single Muslim. We have to live the dawah. And dawah is not just theoretical or theory that you just talk about it. You have to live it. You have to practice it. You have to implement it in your life. You have to show it to people. People get inspired and motivated when they interact with you. And whenever you tell them, I did this for you because I am Muslim, because Islam ordains me to do that. I behave this way to you because Islam obligates me to do that, because God, Allah, has told me to do that, because I love my Prophet, peace be upon him, and I follow his footsteps, and he did the same thing with people like you. These are some of the words and cliches that we have to embed in our conversations and dialogues with our fellow Americans on this planet Earth. Then only they will be able to understand that Muslims are not those that are portrayed on the screen of a television or any device where they are shown as, violent, barbaric, aggressive, animosity, hatred, jealousy is embedded in them. No. When people interact with us, when they see us living Islam, implementing Islam in our daily life, they get inspired and motivated. Not just that, but it'll go to the next level, which is that they would want to practice that faith. A lot of converts, a lot of reverts, people who took Shahada. When you ask them why you want to become Muslim or why did you become a Muslim, and they'll say, well, my friend, my best friend, my colleague, my associate, my this, my that, my neighbor, someone that they refer to in their life who is a Muslim, and they interacted with them and they live with them and they, they observe them and they got inspired and motivated by them, and they say, hey, what? I think this faith is for me. I think I should practice it. So Islam is not something that you shove down somebody's throat. Islam is not that you hand them a Quran, hey, read this and become a Muslim. Or read this book, read these brochures, and that's it. Islam is not just about taking time out on Saturday, Sunday, driving somewhere on a street corner and shouting out loud over there, hey, listen all, you got to be a Muslim. This is Islam. That's not Islam. Islam or Dawah is living it, practicing it, understanding what is essential, and having conversations, dialogues with people wherever we go, wherever we are, wherever we interact with anyone, whether for a short duration or long duration. Having said that, of course, that this is the most noble act and deed and the most important, and it is not our choice to say no to Dawah. We have been embedded, obligated by default to give dawah. Each one of us will be asked on Yom Al Qiyamah, on Day of Judgment, what did you do for dawah? What did you do totally at all for the sake of Allah, the deen of Allah? Like Allah says in the Quran, in Surah, I believe Surah Muhammad, Surah 47, Allah says, In tansurullah yansurkum. If you make the deen of Allah successful, Allah will make you successful. Making the deen of Allah successful here doesn't mean going out there and fighting wars and battles and all that. Making the deen of Allah successful means promoting the deen of Allah in such a noble, kind manner and gesture that people become attracted to it. When the Muslims went to China for business, trade routes, and merchandising, the locals were so impressed and influenced by those Muslim traders and businessmen and in their practices and in their interactions that they began to become Muslim over there. The Chinese Muslims that are there are from these hundreds and hundreds years back of opportunity that is there. My question is that we American Muslims, some estimates say there are 3 million, some say 5 million, some say 7 million. A ballpark figure, let's say about 5 to 6 million Muslims living in America. What are we doing? If we are just not worried about this, and we don't relay this to others, it's not just about me and you becoming engaged in dawah. We have to live it, and we have to make our family live it too, meaning our parents, our siblings, our spouses, our children. Everybody's got to be in it. Each one of us should be propagating this to our fellow Muslims, saying, hey, what are you doing about dawah? And the good thing about NJ Dawah, the name is says it all. NJ Dawah. There are two forms of dawah. One dawah to the non-Muslims to invite them to Islam, and the other is dawah to the Muslims to remind them to remain on their faith, keep their faith. So both aspects of dawah is there, and alhamdulillah, NJ Dawah is doing both those aspects. And we just need to increase the momentum and increase the human resource, the field workers who can engage people into conversation and dialogues. Like I said earlier, that this is not something that you have to do once in a while and that's it done. It is a 24/7 job. It is living it. So whether you are talking to your neighbors, talking to your coworker at your job, or you are at the gas station briefly and you have an opportunity to say something or do something, you do it at your local grocery store while you're shopping and maybe through the cashier line, even that brief 2-minute interaction with the cashier. Our choice of words and conversation and dialogue should be such that it impacts the mind and soul and body of that person, that they say, hey, I interacted with a Muslim today and they said or did something that was very, very noble, very kind gesture. So these are the things that really make an impact in terms of dawah. Now, before we go into that, there are certain prerequisites. So let's go to the next screen. If you want to be an active da'i, one who is spending a good chunk of their time engaging into inviting others to Islam, there are certain prerequisites, of course, that are necessary in order to prepare ourselves for the different scenarios that we may be engaged in. The first, of course, first and foremost, most important is ilm, knowledge. Many people may not know their faith good enough that they can give da'wah to somebody. But there's a hadith of Rasulullah, he said, "Ballighu anni walau ayah," talk about me or relay about me, distribute information about me, even if it's just one verse or one aspect or one hadith or something, one value about our faith. So we should start giving da'wah, and as we are giving, we should learn. I mean, if somebody doesn't know their faith, when they start giving dawah to others, they'll become stronger in their faith. They'll start learning more because, hey, they're going to say, how am I going to teach somebody when I don't know? I give you a small example. There was this one brother who was very, very passionate, enthusiastic about giving dawah, came to a dawah booth where there is a Y Islam dawah booth set up, everything. And believe you me, this person didn't even know the Arkanul Iman, the articles of faith. What are the basic requirements for somebody to become Muslim? He didn't know all of that. All he knew was La ilaha illallah and Muhammad Rasulullah. But his energy, his enthusiasm brought him over there. And then when he started having conversation and dialogues at the Dawah booth, he began to realize that, hey, I don't even know my religion properly. But he had no shame and shyness to learn. And he said, teach me or help me. And asking questions like, look, this person asked me, how do you become Muslim? And all you got to do is just believe in Allah and believe in Prophet Muhammad, right? Well, technically, no, but also yes, because yes, you have to believe in Allah and Prophet Muhammad, but that's not it. You also have to believe in the angels, in the prophets of God, in the books of God, etc., till the end. And this dude here didn't know all of that. In fact, he didn't even know what qada and qadar is. And by the way, I'm not talking about a 12 or 13-year-old coming over. This is a person who's 32 years old. Just imagine a 32-year-old young brother Muslim who's enthusiastic about dawah, wants to give dawah, comes to a dawah booth, doesn't know the Arkanul Iman, but has so much zeal and eagerness and fervor to invite people to Islam. So knowledge, yes, you can start doing the dawah as it is, but you also need to learn so that you are at least clear about your basic fundamental teachings of the faith Islam. So that's number one, the first prerequisite. Second, very most important, is kindness and gentleness. Dawah is not about harshness. It's not at all about fighting and bickering and debating and arguing. It's quarreling. Like, oh, you're trying to put my religion down. Wait, I'm gonna, put your religion down. No, no, hands off, back off. You see somebody trying to get upset with you and trying to really fight you, just back off. Like Allah said in the Quran, وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And when any of the ignorant people who don't know about Islam, when they start arguing with you and start, debating with you or fighting with you, then قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Just say peace, peace out, peace be upon you, and just move away from that. And then, although that I applies both for Muslims and it can also be applied for Muslims, because when you see somebody trying to provoke you, irritate you, make you lose your temper, and get you angry and mad, be it known that they're doing that on a intentional basis because they want to show that, look, these are the Muslims who get so angry and upset and they start shouting, yelling, screaming. Heck, I don't even want to be a Muslim. I don't like Islam. This is the Islam that Fox News and CBS and ABC and CNN tell us about. And see, this is what this person is doing, yelling and shouting and screaming, ready to punch me in the face. That's what some people try to do when they are having a conversation. They purposely try to pick on you, and therefore the most important prerequisite for a da'i or a da'iyah is to have kindness and gentleness, because that kindness and gentleness will go a long way in terms of bringing the person attracted. See, our job is not to convert anybody. If anybody thinks giving dawah means to converting someone and getting shahadas, like people start comparing each other, that yo brother, how many shahadas you have? Oh sister, how many shahadas did you get? Oh, you have a very low number of shahadas. There's no competition. We're not living in this world to convert people like missionaries. We're not competing with each other to have an X amount of shahada. We are only here as a what you call newscaster. We are presenting the news of the Quran, the information of the Quran, the news of Rasulullah to others. It is upon the people if they really want to be following that or not. And that's why the word in Arabic is lean, lean or layin, which means softness, tenderness, gentleness. Allah talks about the Prophet Muhammad in the Quran also about this quality, this very important ingredient. In Surah Al Imran, Surah 3, Allah says, وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَظًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. If you were stiff-hearted, strict, and very aggressive towards them, O Prophet of Allah, لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. They would run away from you. And that's why Allah says, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. It is purely and surely, completely from the mercy of Allah. فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ. The rahmah of Allah, the mercy of Allah. لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. That you, O Muhammad sallam, you were lean, you were gentle, kind, inclined towards your audience, your people. It is the mercy of Allah He made you soft-hearted, O Muhammad sallam. Allah is saying this in Surah Al-Imran to who? None other but our Prophet Muhammad sallam. And who are we to be rigid and strict and all that? That is why, a very good form of dawah is road rage. No, I'm not saying you become angry on the road. A lot of times you see road rage, people cutting off on the highway and this and that, and somebody getting upset, and they might, stop the car and come out and yell or point fingers and things, whatnot. That is a very good gesture of dawah right there. To be lean, to be soft-hearted, kind and gentle, to be cool as a cucumber, keeping you calm and just smiling and saying soft words to them, because that will go a long way. Let's say that non-Muslim had a road rage and they see you and they interact with you briefly on that road. But when they go back home, they say, wait a second, I was very harsh with that person, but he or she didn't retaliate, didn't respond. What? Why were they like that? That's called silent dawah. Silent dawah means that you take stock of the circumstances, you acknowledge and analysis the surroundings and the situation that you're in, and you quickly think on your feet. It's like split second thinking. You quickly think on your feet that in this situation, what can I do that would have a long lasting impact on this individual, that perhaps it becomes a silent dawah, indirect dawah for them, that perhaps they might tomorrow go back to learn about Islam. I give you a small example. I take calls, hotline calls on Why Islam. We've been doing that for almost 2 decades now. Many times when we answer the 8 cents in Why Islam hotline call, we say, thank you for calling 8 cents in Why Islam. How can I help you? And somebody has a question, and then you further, interrogate, delve deeper, and say, how did you learn about Islam, or how did you get to know about Islam, or, what created the curiosity for you to even search for about Islam, or learn about Islam? Something must have triggered. What was that trigger point? When I asked that on many times, brother and sister, you'll be surprised that the person on the other end of the line would say, you know what really triggered me to go find out about Islam? Because I had a very, very brief interaction, 60 seconds, 90-second interaction, whatever the situation, whether it was at a mall, at a park, on the road rage. Yeah, that has happened many times. Or at an office building or something. Meaning they say that something I did or they did which really triggered me that, let me find out about Muslims. Let me find out about Islam. So they did Google searching and start searching and reading, and they somehow stumble around onto the website of Why Islam, and then they see the number 8 cents of Why Islam, and then they call and they ask, why are Muslims like this? For example, let's say somebody said, I remember one of the interactions, they said, I spit on the face of a Muslim, but the guy didn't do anything. And this guy, months later or weeks later, is searching online about Islam, that why did not that person retaliate when I was so harsh? What is in Islam that restrains you, self-restraint? And that's how you find about rahmah, mercy, compassion. I mean, subhanAllah, may Allah give ajr to that person who didn't retaliate, who got the spit on his face and didn't retaliate. But that person did an indirect form of da'wah. Now, I'm not saying this, don't take me wrong. I'm not saying that anybody spits on you, just keep wiping it and start licking it, stuff for Allah. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you have to take stock of that situation and say, what is the best thing I can do right now that may make a strong impact? Now, of course, if somebody spits at you, you may slap them, you may do something. It's going to make a brawl, a fight, a quagmire, and police gets called. You can make a scenario out of it, but you can easily quell and pull and bring the temperature down by not doing anything and smiling, and just take a napkin, tissue, wipe it off, and say, have a good day, sir. Take care. May God bless you. May God guide you. Something like that you can say. You can always make dua for non-Muslims in terms of hidayah. This is from the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Always say, Allah yahdi. May Allah guide them. May Allah guide you. And this kind of gesture, even though it may not immediately make an impact within 24 hours, 48 hours, that person didn't become a Muslim. But many weeks later, months later, that incident triggered something in that mind that, hey, I need to find out about these people, these Muslims, this individual. That person who I spit on, they didn't retaliate. So what is really in Islam? Because what I think about, he must be thinking, what I know about Islam is just guns and firepower and hitting and this and that. So he started searching and he came about that number and, called, and then we had a nice conversation. But what I'm saying is these little incidences of gentleness and kindness, they go a long way of making an impact with someone. So that's the second most ingredient. Now, some people ask, brother, how do we get, kindness? How can we acquire gentleness? How can you become, lean, inclined with softness and tenderness? For that, first thing I would say is stop eating meat. red meat. Yes. See, the more you eat goat and beef and whatnot, it's the digestion of the meat. It transpires and makes your blood hot. You become hot blood. The more vegetables, fish, maybe chicken you eat, the more cool as a cucumber you'll be. Red meat has that tendency to be very hot tempered, and it's something you can check with dietitians and food nutritionists and food experts. They can even tell you about that. And that's why you see that when you become hypertension, when you become very, very hot tempered and blood pressure is high, doctors, they advise you, hey, cut down the red meat. Did you ever ask the doc, why are you trying to cut down my red meat? What's that got to do with high blood pressure? Because the blood pressure that is in your body is going high. The red meat is affecting it. That's one thing. Second thing, in terms of how you can become gentle and lean, um, it is a very tough exercise to do. But whoever I told to do it has always come back and say it makes a big difference. And that is when you go to the masjid, people leave their shoes and their slippers and sandals all haywire, like some here, some there. If you pick it up and put it in the cabbies, put it in the boxes, organize it, arrange it, or if people have, they took off their shoes and it's in this direction, when they come out of the masjid, they have to be in this direction. So if you just turn around the shoes and slippers, because you're actually touching it with your hand, you're kneeling down, you're moving, you're doing that. It's a good thing to cut your ego, and it breeds in you gentleness and softness, because you realize that these are people's shoes and slippers, and you are killing your ego by arranging other people's stuff. So it's a indirect way of killing the temper and hot-mindedness without even realizing what's going on. And besides that, the third and most important thing is dhikr. The more dhikr of Allah we do, the more we become kinder and gentle, and become inclined towards humbleness and softness towards that. So remember the meat issue, the shoes and slippers, and then the third thing is, of course, the dhikr of Allah. Making your tongue always busy with the dhikr of Allah. So third most important prerequisite or ingredient is hikmah, wisdom. Uh, Hikmah or wisdom is saying the right thing at the right time, at the right place, to the right person. Not everything is hikmah. You may know something that is right, but saying it at the wrong time, in the wrong place, is not wisdom. It may trigger something. You may tell yourself, hey, I'm saying the right thing. It is perfectly halal. It's perfectly right. But it is not the right place and the right time. And that's why it's irritating the person in front of you. And that's why it's not wisdom. Wisdom is understanding your audience, the background, the culture. I mean, I'll give you an example of wisdom. Imagine somebody comes up to you and says, let's say a lady, that I want to become Muslim, but I don't want to wear hijab. So I'm ready to take the Shahada. I want to say La ilaha illallah, but I don't want to wear the hijab. Now, here are some of our brothers and sisters who are like gung ho about Islam, they're very strict and say, no, you can't take the Shahada unless you start wearing hijab. Boom. You are saying the right thing. Wearing hijab is compulsory, yes. You're saying the right thing. But this is not wisdom, hikmah. You're saying it in the wrong place, in the wrong, time, because this person is so eager to want to take Shahada, you kill their spirit. You subdued them totally. You say, oh, no, you got to first make up your mind, sister. You got to wear the hijab. Then you can think about saying the Shahada. Other than that, don't say the Shahada. What if she dies tomorrow? Who is going to be responsible for delaying her Shahada and she died? Just imagine that misery. Just imagine on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask that individual that, hey, you gave them the right answer, but at the wrong time, at the wrong place. And because of that person did not take Shahada and died a non-Muslim. Will you regret that for the rest of your life? On Yawm al-Qiyamah, will you regret that? That I wish I would have said, it's okay, sister, take the Shahada. You will learn after becoming a Muslim and saying the Shahada, start learning about hijab, start learning about, modesty and all that. And inshallah, make dua to Allah, He make it easier for you. Which is better? So this is what we mean by wisdom, hikmah. Brothers and sisters, sometimes we are so rigid and timid. We just want to follow by the book. No, this is halal, this is haram. No, the Quran says this, that's it. The Quran says you have to have hijab. Khalas. You're literally, demonizing Islam in that context. Again, I'm not saying that we become all merry and liberal and say it's okay, sister, just say the shahada and never wear hijab. You don't really need to wear hijab. That's the culture thing. That's the other extreme. That's the other extreme. There is no extremism in Islam. You can't be all the way one extreme where you say no, you can't take shahada unless you make up your mind wearing hijab. You can't be the other extreme, totally liberal and easy and telling the person that, oh, just take the shahada, don't worry about hijab, it's not necessary. So Islam is a deen of mutawassit, deen of istiqama, a deen of moderation and balance, the middle ground, the middle path. That inshallah, sister, take the shahada and make dua to Allah and start learning about hijab and, learn about, talk to other sisters. Hopefully one day you'll start wearing, but don't delay your shahada. Say the shahada, become a Muslim. Because even if you are not wearing the hijab and you die after taking the shahada, guess what? You die as a Muslim. And there's a very high chances you'll go to Jannah because you have said the shahada. If you don't say the shahada and you die a non-Muslim, the chances of going to Jannah, where? So, wisdom, my dear and sisters, we really have to understand what wisdom, hikmah is. A lot of our brothers and sisters who are da'is and giving dawah, they tend to forget this most important prerequisite. You can't have da'wah without hikmah. It's impossible. You can't be a da'i. Let me put it this way, point blank. Khalas. You can't be a da'i. You cannot be an inviter to the faith of Islam if you are missing and lacking wisdom, hikmah. Why? Because Allah said that in the Quran in Surah Al-Nahl. Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah, bil mu'idat al-hasanah. Call upon to the way of your Lord with wisdom. Allah is saying in the ayah, call to the way of your Lord with wisdom. Use wisdom. Don't just call to the way of your Lord. He didn't say, Udu ila sabili rabbik ala kayfik or ala dhahnik, just the way you feel like it, just call people to people Islam. No, use it with wisdom, wa mu'idat al-hasana, and a, good, fair, polite warning, making them realize. Because that will go a long way to attract people towards Islam. Just look at the 13 years of Meccan life period that Rasul lived over there. What kind of hikmah and wisdom he used with the people, the non-Muslims. Mecca was not a Muslim society. It was not a Muslim environment. It was all non-Muslims, pagans, idol worshippers, heavily infested with all kinds of immorality and immoral acts, dancing and singing and khamr and alcohol and zina, fornication and, promiscuity, vulgarity, profanity. Everything was going on over there in Mecca. And a prophet of God, prophet of Allah is living amongst them, with them, around them. Did he just shun everybody? Did he just pick up a stick and say, I'm a prophet of God from today? Khalas, I'm going to break all these bottles. I'm going to whip you guys, in the back. And, did he bring about like a drastic revolution in Mecca? Like suddenly everybody's like, whoa, what's going on? Who's in town? A new sheriff in town or something? No. Also some used wisdom, hikmah. What does hikmah, wisdom means? A lot of times you see something that is against the sharia, against the law of Allah. It is against the etiquettes and manners of Quran, but yet you sometimes absorb it. You just drink it through, you drink your anger and temper through because you don't want to be rigid and strict. Sometimes I literally cry when reverts, especially revert sisters, they call the Y Islam hotline and they say, brother, I don't want to be Muslim anymore. And I say, sister, is it okay? What happened? Please allow me to help you. Oh, brother, I went to this mosque in this city, in this town, and I was not wearing a hijab. And right from the parking lot, as I was trying to enter the building or the mosque, there were some brothers, without mentioning their ethnicity and background, there were these brothers and they say, you can't go inside the mosque like that. Go back home and, bring something to cover your hair or something. People just stopped me from even getting into the house of Allah, the house of worship. And I was just distraught, torn, brokenhearted, and I came back and I don't want to be Muslim anymore. You tell me, brothers and sisters, who wants to remain a Muslim with that kind of a situation scenario? Where is the wisdom? Where is the hikmah? Jazakallah khair to those brothers who said those things outside the masjid, in the parking lot, or at the entrance of the masjid and stopping. They were thinking that they're doing the best thing. They're like defenders of Islam. They're like defenders of Allah. Oh, we are protecting the integrity of Allah. Allah told us that no hijab, no mosque, no masjid. So in their what should I say? Subhanallah. In their mindset, in their wisdom, hikmah, they're thinking they're doing the best thing, the best job, by prohibiting a Muslim sister from entering the masjid because she doesn't have a hijab. And what from their hikmah, what did they do? They turned off somebody, and that sister ends up thinking of leaving Islam. God forbid, la samhallah, if she left Islam, who will have the burden, the onus of leaving that Islam? Those two individuals in front of that masjid entrance who were so gung-ho about protecting Islam that they wanted to just, anyway, I'm just sharing these examples from life experiences, brothers and sisters, so that you can relate to these prerequisites. What I've made all these slides and points, it's not just from mere conjecture, it's not just from books, but it's from practical field work and experiences of people that they've told. Anyway, the fourth and most important, sabr, patience. The biggest example of patience for da'wah that you want to show is from the life of Rasulullah in Medina, when that person was urinating, literally peeing in the masjid. What sabr did Rasulullah show? Everybody who was there wanted to just rush and grab that guy and like, man, how dare you urinate in the house of Allah, in the masjid of Rasulullah. But in fact, look at the sabr, the patience, the reservoir of forbearance of our beloved Prophet. He ordered immediately everybody, hey, stop. And stop why? Let me handle it? No, he said, stop, let him finish. Allahu Akbar. Wow. Here is somebody urinating in the masjid and you tell them, let them finish. What sabr is this? What patience is this? This is da'wah. And today, if you ask any medical doctors, especially oncologists, or urinary specialists, especially urinary, like the bladder and the kidney specialists, if you ask them, because I asked one of these and they told me, if you ask any of these doctors, they'll tell you that, they said, Brother Jawad, if somebody's urinating and you suddenly scare them or stop them, and if you stop the urine in the tract, we're talking about a male, it can cause problem in the bladder. It can cause, it can cause a medical problem, medical issue. If you do that, I mean, you're urinating and somebody tells you to stop in the middle of urination, it can cause a lot of damage, body damage, the anatomy of the body. This is medical science telling us. 1450 years ago, the Prophet of Allah, who's not a doctor, not a physician, not an oncologist, urologist, or anything, from his wisdom, hikmah, and from his kindness and gentleness, lean, and from his knowledge of wahi and his sabr, he exemplified his sabr and said to the guy, let him finish. Once he finished, then he walked over to the person and counseled them and told them, look, this is not a right place to urinate. You have to go to the bathroom and urinate. This is a house of Allah, blah, 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 and all that, counseling. But I am just stunned at the order of Rasulullah to the Sahaba that let him finish. No one has that capacity of patience to let a person who's urinating in the masjid do urine. And here we are today, including myself. We Muslims are so impatient. We don't have sabr. We see somebody breaking the law of Allah, breaking the, law of Quran, or doing something that is forbidden. We see that and our blood starts boiling and we literally want to grab their neck and squeeze it. That's the kind of feeling we Muslims have today. Where is the sabr? When it comes to da'wah, you have to be calm, resist, desist, and you have to listen. You have to act and not react. 90% of the people, including myself, we are very reactionary people. We see something, we start reacting. Stop, step back, take a deep breath and think, how should I act in this situation? Because if I react, whatever the person is doing in front of you, they're going to do. You can't really stop them from doing that. But you got to be smarter and rise above the occasion. This is what a da'i is. A da'i is not just an individual, a human being. A da'i is not just someone who has knowledge and that's it, relaying the knowledge. See, it's one thing to have knowledge about all the stuff and storing that knowledge, but it's a totally different thing applying that knowledge in the right place, in the right time, in the right manner, for the right purpose. Because what good is my knowledge? I mean, like the example, let's go back to the example of that masjid. Those two individuals, they had the knowledge. Oh, this person is not muhajjaba, she has no hijab. Let me stop her from going to the masjid. And they have the knowledge about hijab and everything, but they don't have the knowledge of the fiqh of masajid or masjid. Can you really stop someone from entering a masjid if they don't have a hijab? No, they could have. How would you react? Let me put it this way. How would you act in that situation? Where is the sabr? What would have been a better option? Now, you can say a lot of comments that, oh, if I were there, I would do this, I would do that. If I were there, I would handle this situation this way. Bottom line is, you would do something that would not make that person, that sister, turn away from Islam. There are multiple ways of dealing in that situation. You could say, okay, sister, by the way, we should be covered when we go inside the masjid. If you see inside in the women's section, there might be a scarf. Just put it on, and next time, if it's possible, can you wear the scarf from home? Because this is a house of Allah. We have a certain respect. This kind of reaction or action, you want to say, would have gone a long way for that sister to remain as a Muslim than to be sobbing and crying and literally thinking of leaving Islam. And I have many examples like these. I mean, for the last 20 years, I've been taking calls on Why Islam, and I've listened to so many revered sisters and brothers how we, the immigrant Muslims, the indigenous Muslims, the born Muslims, how we treat our revered sometimes. I mean, sometimes I'm literally shell shocked and I feel like crying. And I feel like, that's why we're doing this thing, this dawah workshop, that this is the prerequisite of dawah. Because these incidences that are happening at masajid, people are literally leaving Islam because of the individuals who are running the masajid or who are in the masjid or who are doing things, because they are a big turnoff for many people. But I'm not saying all masajid like that, but there are individuals who are there. It's not maybe the management of the board, but individuals who are in the parking lot, in the corridors, or in the entrances of masajid. They see something, they hear something, they react in a way. We need to learn the fiqh of dawah. We need to learn the prerequisites of being a da'i. Everyone is a da'i. Each individual is a da'i by default, whether they accept it or not. They are. And their da'wah is in multiple manners, through their tongue, through their body language, through their facial expression, through their hand gestures, actions, interactions, everything. But the most important thing we understand is sabr. And sabr means restraint. Restrain yourself. The person who's in front of you, non-Muslim or new Muslim, however they are acting, reacting, behaving, how would you say that incident of Rasulullah where the person was urinating? That's a new Muslim, right? Because he's in Medina, he just accepted Islam, so he's a convert, he's a revert. He wasn't a Muslim. And because of Jahiliyyah days, he would just urinate wherever he wants. So he thought that, hey, I can go into the masjid and I can just urinate there if it's, like, like they say, when a man gotta go, a man gotta go. You can't stop. So maybe that's what was going on with him. Like he couldn't just stop and wait outside. So let me just take a leak here. It's fine. Because his understanding is it's fine to do that. But that's because of Jahiliyyah. Now that Islam has come and he's become a Muslim, he was not taught. Nobody taught him yet. Had somebody taught him, you think he would urinate in the masjid of Rasulullah? Never. So that's why Rasulullah told him, let him finish. He walked over. Then he taught him. He trained him. He said, look, don't do this again. It's not a good thing. This is a house of Allah, a house of worship. We need to keep it clean. We need to keep, we pray here. So it's a small gesture goes a long way. And that's why it's very important to understand what sabr is, that you take stock of the situation, you analyze, okay, this is what's going on. It's really, really upsetting me, but how should I behave and how should I respond that my anger doesn't show, but the but the breaking of the rule of Allah can be shown that, look, this is not something right. So that's very important prerequisite for a da'i to have sabr. Morality, which is the fifth and more. Obviously, these are the five most important. I'm not saying that these are the only prerequisites to be a da'i. There are many, many more. But these are the five fundamentals, the key five things that are needed inside a da'i and a da'iyah. A female da'i is called da'iyah, a male da'i is called a da'i. And the word da'i means what? One who calls other. The word da'wah, what does it mean? It means to invite, to call, to attract people towards you. That's what the word da'wah comes from. It comes from da'a. Da'a means to call. So ad'u, yad'u, I call, you call, they call. So we call upon Allah. From that same word comes du'a. What is du'a? It's a call, invocation, supplication, a prayer to Allah. You make a dua, so you call upon Allah. Ya Allah, give me this. Ya Allah, bless me this. So it's a dua from da'a. So da'wah is the methodology or the action which is to bring people into Islam. Is called da'wah from da'a. And you are the da'i. You are the one who's doing it. You are the fa'il. You are the doer of that verb. So you are da'i. The one who's receiving it, the one who's listening, is the mad'u, is the one who is listening to your invitation. For example, you invite somebody to dinner at your house, so you are giving them a dawah. Of course, it's a dawah for food, and they're very happy and glad, and they accept it. But you are the da'i. You invited them that come have a dinner with us. They are the mad'u. They listened to your invitation, and they came over to your house for dinner. So that is why these terminologies are important to understand, okay? And so haya or morality, which is the most important ingredient or prerequisite for a da'i, because you can't really be calling people to Islam and then at the same time being immoral, immodest, vulgar, profane, promiscuous, and the whole 9 yards. You can't be telling people, okay, come to Islam, and then you are on the street half naked, so to speak, or your dress attire is not appropriate, or the way you walk, the way you talk is not appropriate, or the way you behave in public is not appropriate. So people are gonna say, why should I think about Islam when this person is acting so weird? Imagine somebody breaking the rules of Islam and then still calling people to Islam. So people are gonna say that's contradiction. You say Islam says to do this, but you're not doing it. You say Islam says don't do this, but you're doing it. And that's exactly what Allah says in Surah Saf, Surah 61. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Oh, you believe, why do you say something that you don't do? Of course, it does not mean that I is not saying that, okay, if you don't do it, then stop saying it. No, you should live up to it. If you're saying it, act up on it, do it. A lot of people take the wrong meaning of this ayah and say, oh, look, Allah is saying if you're not doing it, then you should stop saying it even. No, that's not what Allah is saying. Allah is saying that if you're saying something, then live up to it, prove it, step up and do it also. Don't just say it and stop and don't do it. And there's no way that Allah is saying that, okay, stop saying it, because what's going to happen? That's what Shaitan wants us to do. Shaitan confuses us in this ayah that, hey, look, Allah is telling you that you're not doing it, so why are you saying it? Stop saying it even. So what happens when you stop saying it? Shaitan has killed two birds with one stone. A, he's got you to shut up and be quiet and not say it. And now the effect of that saying that could have brought about a different change in society is also lost. So Shaitan is slick and smart. And that's why he puts this waswasa that, hey, dude, you're not even doing this. So why are you being hypocritical? Why are you being so, dual person? Why are you even saying it? Shut your mouth. Stop saying it. So you stop saying it. And when you stop saying it, Shaitan won the battle. Shaitan got, okay, now this thing from the mouth that was going out is closed, is shut. So now people will not even listen to it. Whatever it could be, a good advice, a good nasiyah, something. For example, somebody is, let's say hypothetically somebody is smoking. And you tell them, you should stop smoking. You should stop smoking. It's not good for your health. But you smoke. So you are saying something which you don't do yourself. And then Shaitan comes up to you saying, stop telling people don't smoke. And you keep smoking. So Shaitan killed two birds with one stone. Is that person is smoking, you're smoking, you stop telling others. That is why the ulama, the fuqaha, they say that if you want to get rid of some bad habit in your personality, in your, wujud, start talking about it. Let me give you a small example. Let's say you want to sleep less. You want to reduce your sleep. You sleep a lot. You want to get rid of this bad habit of oversleeping and sleeping long. Start telling others that you should sleep less, or we should sleep less. When you start saying that, you'll see it has a psychological effect on your brain, on your mind, and you will automatically start subduing yourself. That, hey, I'm telling others to sleep less, and I am sleeping more. That's right, right. And then, so this is what the scholars and ulama, they taught us back in Islamic University when we were learning as students, that if you want to get rid of some bad habit in yourself, start talking about it. Start giving dawah about it. The more dawah you give about something, you'll see it'll come back to you, and you start acting upon it, and it helps you, enhances you. And that's exactly with Islam. The more dawah about Islam you start giving others, you will see that you'll start becoming a more practicing Muslim. You start seeing that you start practicing more aspects of Islam, because your brain is telling you that, hey, you're calling other people to Islam, but what about you? You don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do this, you don't. So you start, shame. It's called self-blame, self-shame. Nafsun ammaratun bisu. That nafs that is blaming itself. Sorry, nafs al-lawama, that is blaming itself. That you tell everybody else to do this about Islam, but you're not doing it. So you start practicing, and then gradually that habit comes into your lifestyle. So remember this key trick, that if you want to adopt something, if you want to acquire something in your lifestyle, in your personality, in your behavior, in your character, start talking about it. Even if you're not doing anything right now, start talking about it. Your giving dawah and start talking about it will one day make you start following that. For example, somebody, if you feel like that I'm just saying, hypothetical example, if somebody feels that they're not regular in their prayers and they're missing their prayers, start talking about it to others. Start advising and counseling other people that we should be regular in our prayers. Come to prayers, come to prayer, become regular. You'll see that you will start becoming regular in prayers on a regular daily basis because of talking about it. It's a human psyche. Allah has made the brain so beautiful that when we start talking about something, the brain registers first for yourself, and then it makes what you call remorse, regret in your own self, and then you start um, what you call have this moral shame and start feeling shy about it and acting about it. So this is what the aspect of morality, haya, is having good character, good behavior, meaning you're calling others to Islam, so you should be on your best behavior, on your best character, not giving anybody any opportunity to point a finger to you that, hey, you calling me towards Islam, but look at yourself, look what you're doing. That would automatically get handled when you bring this prerequisite or this ingredient in yourself of a very high moral character, haya. And that's what Allah said about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu in the Quran, in Surah Qalam, Noon wal Qalam ma yasturun. Allah said in that surah, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, and verily indeed you, a Prophet of Allah sallallahu, are on a very high pedestal of character, behavior. Your standard is very high. You raise the bar for everybody. And that's the same thing here. Let me stop over here if anybody has any questions so far before we move on, because I know we are at the 1 hour mark. So I just didn't want to just go on and on and on. Any questions so far on what we have covered? Or maybe everybody's sleeping, they dozed off, huh? They didn't understand anything. Okay. No questions, no comments. We'll continue then. Okie dokie. So next thing is very important in dawah. Once you know the prerequisites, is knowing your audience. What does that mean? It means, brothers and sisters, that you customize the delivery of your message to their understanding. Try to relate to the American society. And we as American Muslims are the best equip people to give dawah. Let's say somebody just comes from overseas, from another Muslim country, and starts giving dawah. They may not be that effective because their application, they're coming from a different background, different society, different country, different lifestyle. So they may not be able to connect or relate to the audience that fast compared to us who've been born and raised in the USA. We know the culture here, we know the lifestyle. You can bring about examples of such as baseball, football, basketball. You can bring examples of American Pie or things, and something that relates to the audience, and they say, yes, that golden nugget moment when the person really absorbs what you're saying. They go like, that's interesting. I understand that. So you do that because of analysis, analogy, parables, examples, similarities, knowing the American lifestyle and what people go through. So therefore, that is a way to be able to relate to them, asking them questions that may relate to their personal lifestyle, and then relating to that situation, those answers, what Islam has to offer. So that is one of the aspects of wisdom, hikmah, which is building similarities. And look, in American society, this is what is there. And, in Islamic culture, Islamic society, that is very similar because we do this. I'm just saying, X that happens in American society is similar to Y that happens in Islamic society. For example, people are very good neighbors in America. They take care of neighbors, they look out for neighbors, they watch out. Similarity to that, Islam, Rasulullah in many hadiths talks about the rights of neighbors, the etiquettes for neighbors, the duties and obligations for neighbors, etc., etc., etc. So you're building a moral ground for dawah, in the sense of showing the person that whatever do's and don'ts are there in Islam, whatever protocols and SOPs are there in Islam, they're very similar to the American society. For example, in America, speaking the truth is very important. You have to be truthful to everybody. If you lie anywhere, in a government office, to a government officer, you lie in school or college or anywhere, it's a very, very big sin. It's like very, against the society, against the society's norm. Same thing you can build up on Islam. Islam and the Quran builds up on truthfulness, being truthful. Allah says in the Quran, Ya alladhina amanu ittaqullah wa kunu ma'as sadiqin. Oh, you believe, fear Allah and be with the truthful. So you pick up little things and build similarity, build connection. Islam is all about being truthful and being honest to people. Similar matching thing is in American society. People are honest. People are truthful. Majority. Those who are not, they pay for that consequences in the society. So Islam is not alien. Islam is not different. If you look at the values of Islam and you look at the American values, there's a lot of similarities that we can relate to. This is what drives the conversation. This is what connects people together. You relate towards them. You bring about them, closer to each other so that they are able to understand in that aspect. So this is very important, to understand that we do not at all alienate the person. Rather, we bring them closer and closer towards Islam. And that is how, when you know your audience better, you understand their background, you can relate to them. Do they have a college education or not? Are they just a high school graduate? So you can connect to them at that same level. So if you're talking to a plumber, an electrician, or mechanic, you talk at their level. You're talking to a college professor. The way you're going to describe Islam to a college professor is not the same as you're going to be describing to a mechanic at an auto repair shop or something. You see what I mean? So that is why knowing your audience and their background and using analogy as a tool, you customize the delivery of your message in such a way. For example, if you're talking to a prostitute and you want to bring her into Islam, you're not going to be talking to her in the same way as you would talk to a school teacher. Or someone else, or maybe a nun, in a church. So everything has to be customized in such a way that Islam for them looks meaningful and attractive, and they become curious to learn more. Teach me more, give me more books or more information. That is the key of da'wah. This is what da'wah really is: to strike a curiosity in the mind of the person so that they are able to become more eager to learn. Because if you, that is really that's really the test of dawah. Were you able to create curiosity in them or not? If you were blunt or bland or very dull and boring, and they're like, no, I never want to learn about Islam anymore. So that means it's a turnoff. You became a turnoff. You're not really the good da'i. A good da'i is not someone who brings a lot of shahadas. A good da'i or da'iya is someone, he or she creates curiosity, in the person, and eagerness that they want to learn more and get to the end of it. That is how you measure your success of da'wah. Now, one of the things that people seldom realize is finding a golden opportunity in every person for da'wah. Let's say somebody asks you a question, a brief interaction you had somewhere at the mall with someone or at the park. They ask you a question. Hey, are you Muslim? Yeah. Okay, I have a question about Islam like this. You just answer the question and then you move away and say, okay, that's it. So that was missing an opportunity. The golden opportunity is that whoever asks you a question about Islam, whatever it was, you find an opportunity in that to provoke their interest into Islam. Meaning, you answer the question in such a way that you don't just answer the question and leave it as it is. You embed in it many other things that it makes the person engage into a dialogue. See, question and an answer is a one-way street. You ask a question, they ask you a question, you answer, boom, that's it, stop. So end of conversation, end of dialogue. How do you make sure that someone who asks you a question, that your answer should be such that it will now create a dialogue and a further conversation? Instead of just being a question and answer kind of thing, it's more of a conversation, a dialogue. You go on a different, tangent, and you start talking about many things. Even though they start off by asking you, it's just a simple thing about, why do you sit down in prayers? Let's just say. So if you just sort of give a reason why we sit down and pray, and that's it, that's end of talk and we're end of conversation, end of dawah. But if you give the answer in such a way that connect from there to tawheed or oneness of Allah or humbleness or inclination, respect, honor, dignity for the creator, the master, and then from there you start going towards to the Prophet Muhammad Sallam and the messenger and how he taught us to do it this way and how he did it and how they are connected to other prophets, Jesus and Moses, and all prophets of God kneeled in front of God or bowed and prostrated. And so you see how one question and then the answer ensuing from it relates the person and goes into a dialogue, conversation, and on, and it becomes like a maze that you start traversing from one direction to another and keep going. You keep going until the person interrupts you and stops you and say, hey, look, listen, I just got to go. I'm in a rush. I just had that one question I asked you. But if they're not in a rush and they ask you a question and then you give the answer in such a way that it created more further opportunities, that is the golden rule we're talking about here. The golden rule is don't just answer the question and stop. Rather, the golden rule is that you answer the question in such a way that it creates further opportunities from that it emanates into and evolves into a great dialogue and conversation. For example, in New York City, we were just about 2 weeks ago, in 14 August, we were doing Dawathon in New York City, right in downtown, and somebody was trying to catch a train, and they were in a rush, and they stopped by, they wanted a Quran. They had just one question, and, I answered that one question in such a way that they were supposed to catch a train. And the person got so engrossed and, engaged in the conversation that half an hour down the road, he realized, oh, I missed my train. He said, okay, the next train is going to come along, so let me continue now more. He then started asking more questions. So the reason I'm giving that example is to show you that, look, the person is in a rush, but the answer was so engaging and created further opportunities of curiosity for the person that he started asking further questions and more, and the dialogue continued. And then he started feeling comfortable. He said, okay, no problem. I can relax. I'll wait for the next train. It's going to come after so many X minutes. And then he kept, keeping a tab that, okay, now it's about to come. So had a nice conversation. Now I got to go and catch the train. Had I just simply answered that one question that he asked, boom, he would be gone. I'm not saying that I purposely delayed his catching that. My purpose was to create curiosity in them. And the person at the end said, I really enjoyed this conversation. I want to have more of this. So, where can I get hold of you? And, this is a compliment. If somebody tells you that I really liked what you just told me about Islam, how can I get a hold of you and talk more? That is the compliment, or that is the measurement of success of da'wah. That a person has the desire, has the eagerness to talk more about Islam to you, and not just that one time, one shot, one event, and that's it, boom. So that is what we are talking about. The fiqh of dawah, the philosophy of dawah, is to create curiosity in the mind of the person, to stir up their interests more and more into Islam. See, conversion is not something that happens in a flick of a second. People learn and grow and extend, and some people, hidayah is meant for them and they convert in a flick of a second, one snap. But people who are educated and learned, especially in this country, they would like to more understand and go deeper and deeper into it. So one of the best ways to create a conversation and dialogue is to ask open-ended questions. Instead of asking objective questions, close-ended objective questions. Objective question is where the answer is either yes or no. Have you heard about Islam? But if you ask that question, yes, no. Either they'll say no or yes. So it stops. It doesn't ensue a conversation out of it, Instead of that, if you say, what do you know about Islam? Now they're not going to say yes or no. You ask, what do you know about Islam? So now they're going to tell you, I know about Islam, this, this, this. Oh, I know about Islam, that. So now you pick up on that and start the conversation. Whereas if you just said, do you know about Islam? Yes, no, that's it. So that's why open-ended questions create opportunities for dialogue, dawah, conversation. Close-ended questions, objective questions, they just shut down the conversation, shut down the dialogue. And the person will just say yes or no and then be silent. And if they're silent, they might as well just, run away from you and not talk to you. So that is why here we have some examples on the screen of some open-ended questions. Of course, these are just suggested, but you can make your own open-ended questions. You can make your own ways of talking to people, engaging them into a dawah conversation, finding opportunities. Because these are some examples that we have used. It's time-tested and used in the field, and it works a lot. It brings a lot of time. The most important is about death. What do you think of death? Why? Have you ever considered what's going to happen after death? Because Islam gives you solution to what happens after death. Islam talks to you about barzakh, the life in the grave, the barrier, and until the day of judgment. Islam talks heavily about day of judgment. What's going to happen on day of judgment? What are people going to do? So it's a good dialogue topic to start off with. Or for that matter, the most important and time tested is the purpose of life. Do you have a purpose of life? A lot of times people say, yes, my purpose of life is this. What do you think is your purpose of life? What do you understand? And, if you follow a faith, why do you follow that faith? What's in that? So these are some examples that helps make people understand and get closer and closer to a dialogue and conversation, because dialogue and conversation is the key to dawah. Dawah is not just about, yes and no question and answer, but dawah is about creating a dialogue, a conversation, a ability in the person to absorb and digest the information that is being relayed to them from you, the da'i, the inviter to Islam. Now we come to something that is called a mnemonic that I made up. It's called a strategy. That this is a strategy that we try to use in dawah tactics. And the reason we make this is not just made up, hypothetically or mere conjecture, but this is from the sunnah of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially on the seerah of his life of 13 years in Mecca. For 13 years that our Prophet Muhammad SAW lives in Mecca, this is the strategy that he applied and used upon the Meccans who were, so much worldly oriented and away from akhirah and deen and all that. So the key here is that in Mecca and the Meccan surahs and the Meccan ayats, they focus on three main aspects, and that is Tawheed, Risala, and Akhirah. The three main things that the Meccan lifestyle of Rasulullah and the Meccan ayats that were revealed to him, they focus on the oneness of Allah, belief in one Allah, Tawheed, Qul huwallahu ahad, and then belief in the messengership of Rasulullah, that he is a prophet of Allah. You have to believe in him, you have to follow him, you have to love him, etc. And then the third thing is akhirah, that there is a day of judgment coming. The death will be there. Everybody's dying, and after death they'll be resurrected, because the Meccans didn't believe in life after death. The Meccans didn't believe in resurrection at all. In fact, the Meccans didn't believe that we'll come back out of our graves. It's impossible. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the Quran and through Prophet Muhammad sallam, continuously pounded on these three things in Mecca. Allah did not force them on worship, ibadah. You have to pray, you have to fast, you have to this, that. The rules, the do's and don'ts, they came later in Medina. First thing in Mecca was to build Iman, build the faith. Invite to faith, invite to Iman, and then build on it. So the three things that Allah and Rasulullah constantly hammered in the Meccan lifestyle is oneness of Allah, Tawheed, the messengership of Rasulullah, that he's a prophet of Allah, he's the final prophet of Allah, there's no more prophet to come after him. And number three, that there is a day of a judgment, a day of accountability, a day when everybody's going to be asked questions and they have to answer for everything that they did in this world. Now, how do we know these three things? We know it through wahi, revelation. God revealed to Muhammad sallam Quran, wahi. So the connector of all the three, the Tawheed, Risala, Akhirah, all three are connected with wahi, W, revelation of Allah, the Quran. So that's the Tra. And then the S is Sirat al-Mustaqim. What's the end goal of Tawheed, Risala, and Akhirah that is coming through the wahi? What's the end goal of that? It's Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path. So that's how it becomes straw. And the reason we made this word straw, mnemonic, because straw is something very common. People use that to drink fluids, to drink things. So you have to put some effort. You have to do work. You can't just put a straw in your mouth and then expect that fluid to just start flowing in. You have to suck up on the straw. You have to take it in, and then the milk, juice, or water will come through the straw into your mouth. So that is why we came up with this word straw, that you do some effort to acquire the religion. You do some effort to acquire the faith, and then you will be on Sirat al-Mustaqim. So that is very important strategy to follow. So a lot of times people ask me that, brother, if I have to give da'wah to somebody, where should I start? Should I start with the 5 pillars of Islam? Should I start about, morality, modesty, or tawheed? Where should we start? This is the best things to start off with. 3 basic things: Tawheed, Risala, Akhirah, and then the Wahi, Revelation, Quran, talk about that. And then what's the end goal of all of this? And that is the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. Why do we follow one God? To be on the straight path. Why do we follow Prophet Muhammad sallam, the last mentioned messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? To be on the straight path. Why are we worried about Akhirah? Why are we so concerned about our questioning on the Day of Judgment? So that we remain on the straight path. Why do we read the Wahi, the Quran? To remain on the straight path. The Quran guides us to the straight path. The Quran protects us from deviation and distraction. Any questions on this? Or whatever we discussed so far? Anything on that? Every organization makes their own mnemonics. I know if you go to IERA, they have the GoRap method. We in Islam have made this straw strategy and method. You might go to some other like One Path or Sunni Path organization. They may have another kind of method. All methods, they all these roads converge to one point, and that is the belief in Islam, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm not saying that you only use this method, and if you come across some other thing that no, I shouldn't do that. I'm just relaying this, that this is a very effective method. It's time tested. I've applied this for the last 21 years, since 2000, that I've been doing da'wah as an imam and as a regular Muslim, as a da'i, wherever we go. It is time tested and very effective, and it brings dividends and fruits. But of course, you can always modify this and customize it to your own suitability, how you want to apply this. Of course, like we said, that this is from the Sunnah of Rasulullah, this is from the books of Islam. This is not some kind of a theoretical thing that someone just invented or innovated it, but rather this is what happened in Mecca in the 13 years that our Prophet ﷺ lived in Mecca. He went through all of that. But of course, this is not hard and fast rule. It doesn't mean that you're not allowed to. I've already sent this presentation to Brother Ali Yusuf. He has that. And, and NJ Dawa is free to use that. You can use these slides and presentation, customize it, put in your own notes into it, use it however you want to. And the whole idea of this presentation today is that each one of you who is listening right now today, you then go ahead and talk about this to your friends, your family, train them, talk to them about these things so that they become trained. And then it should be a chain reaction. I'm doing this for you, you do it for someone else, they do it for someone else, they do it, because the more the merrier. We need people. America, the 50 states, they're huge. It's a huge territory, huge country. We don't have enough manpower. The more the merrier. The more people we have engaged in dawah and work for dawah and do dawah and talk about dawah, the more is better. Because I give you a small example. In South Dakota, I don't know if you ever visited South Dakota. Shillings, South Dakota, small town. There was a book fair over there. A couple of our brothers from Iceland went there. There's no masjids in a 6-hour radius. 6-hour radius in South Dakota, there's no masjid. When there's no masjid, means there's no Muslim, maybe one or two Muslims. So imagine who's going to talk to those people in Shillings, South Dakota. Who's going to talk to them about Islam? Those people who are living their life, going about their chores and errands, just watching TV or watching screens and devices and learning that, Islam is all about wearing a turban. Islam is all about chopping people's head off. This is what is being fed to them. They haven't seen me and you. Majority of the Muslims live in Northeast or the South or the West Coast. The middle of America, or maybe Chicago, Midwest. I mean, Muslims live in urban cities. How many Muslims living in rural towns, countryside? The population of Shillings, South Dakota, is only 5,000. 5,000 people living in a small town, they never heard about Islam. And suddenly there's a book fair over there for some reason. And, people go there, from New Jersey. They have the Quran on the table and they have the brochures on the table. They have a dialogue, have a conversation. And the people who came there were mixed types. Some are very, very harsh, racist, angry, upset, go back to where you came from. Some are very open, very understanding, very complimenting, thanking, thank you for coming here. Thank you for introducing to your faith. In my 65 years, in my 70, 80 years, never heard about this faith, this religion. Did hear something on the news about it. It's something about, violence and all that. But the way you told me about Islam today at this table it's an eye opener. These are real stories of real people, but we don't have enough people. Who's going to go to Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho? These are sparsely populated places where very few Muslims live there. We have a lot of Muslims from Boston to Florida and Miami, all the way there, up and down. People watching sisters with hijab, brothers with beard, and people interacting with Muslims. But out there in the middle of the country, who is going to talk to them? Let's make our life meaningful, purposeful. You want to take a vacation, make it a dawa vacation. Take your family, your kids on a drive, go to somewhere, go show them, Utah, Salt Lake City, go show them South Dakota, North Dakota. But at the same time, you as a family are there seeing and observing people and interacting and talking to them. When they see you in their attire and dress, they ask you, are you a Muslim? Yeah, alhamdulillah. I have a question about this. Why do Muslims do this? Why do Muslims do that? Opportunity for dawah right there. A nice adventure trip, a night sightseeing tour for you and your family and your kids, but at the same time, dual purpose. And that's what, talking to people about Islam. And that's what Allah says in the Quran. فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُنذِرِينَ. Travel in the earth, travel by road, by land. Because when you travel by road, by land, you have a lot of opportunities of interaction. And like I said in the beginning of my presentation today, that dawah is not about theory. Dawah is all about practice. And the most important practice of dawah is living it, practically giving dawah. Your gestures, your hand movements, your body language is all dawah. Your interactions, your words are dawah. Your behavior is a dawah. Your character is a dawah. The way you gave money to the cashier at the cash register. I've had a lady tell me that, why is it that you Muslims, don't look to us in the eye when you're giving us cash at the cash register? I was asked this question actually once at a gas station when we stopped to get a gas, and she saw me that I'm just giving and not looking, and she point blank, she said, why you guys don't look us in the eye, I mean the woman, when you're giving us the cash? And I dawah opportunity, a small question like that. I was just talking to you earlier about this presentation that you're find a golden opportunity in every question. So I said, hey, this is a golden opportunity. My family's sitting outside, in a gas station, but here 30 minutes talking at the register while she's still dealing with other customers, dealing with them at the cash register. But still, this opportunity was there for 30 minutes to make her realize that the reason Muslim men don't look to you in the eye, ma'am, is because it is modesty, it is shyness, it's morality. Women are very high pedestal respect. The Prophet, peace upon him, told us that the best respect you can give to the woman is not stare her in the face, not stare in the eye. And if I'm just here quick in and out buying a soda or a bottle of juice or milk, I don't have to stare at you. I don't have to look at you. And if I have to give you money, I can just give you money like this. And that I still remember that ensuing conversation that she was just stunned. She's like, I felt very bad. I didn't have a Quran in my car because she said, if you have a book or something, I would love to read this. So I told her go online and put in your name and address and they'll send you one. But this is a real life experience. A cashier, just sporadically, spontaneously, because that means she must have observed a lot of Muslim men do that. You see what I mean? What made her ask that question to me? Because she must have observed many instances in the past. She could have asked that question to any Muslim man. But the fact that it came in my jurisdiction, it was an opportunity from Allah. Allah put that opportunity in my bucket, in my bowl, that she asked me. She could have asked anyone else. And hopefully some other men could have done that too. So this is a message for the brothers. Brothers, when you are interacting with non-Muslim females in public, in society, your silent dawah should go on. So many Muslim men did not look at that cashier, that lady, that it created curiosity in her mind, and she spontaneously just asked that question, which means what? That she is learning, she's observing. This is the living dawah experience I talk about many times. No amount of book, no amount of brochures to that cashier, that lady, would have really created curiosity in her mind about Islam than the interactions that she had with Muslim men buying stuff and paying for it at the cash register. And that's why she said some or most, because that means that she must have interacted with some Muslim men who are, God forbid, may Allah guide them, that they are looking at her, maybe looking at her eyes or face or what. So that's why she said most of you men don't do that. Why? Is there some reason for that? And yes, there's a reason. There's fear of God, fear of Allah, fear of akhirah. You see, I connected that to, risala, akhirah, and tawheed, fear of God, tawheed. fear of akhirah, questioning, accountability. God is going to ask us every single eyesight that you saw on a non-mahram, non-Muslim, I mean, on a female, will be questioned. Risala, mentorship. This is how our prophet acted. He didn't look at the woman in the eye. In America, it's considered very, very bad if you don't look at them in the eye. But the reason we don't look in the eye because that is its gesture of respect, morality, haya, and it's a way of respecting the opposite gender and making them realize that look, you are much higher in respect and authority. And that is why this is how you try to steer a conversation. Like the person asks you a short, concise question. Why you all Muslims don't men look at women in the eye, even if you just at a cash register or something. And then from that, you steer the conversation towards some key points of Islam, like Tawheed, Risala, Akhirah, Day of Judgment, things like that, character, akhlaq, haya, morality, modesty. And you can go on and on. If I was not traveling, would have probably sat there and talked more and more to that lady. But of course, I'm on a trip and family's waiting outside. Just got my gas, quick, getting juice on the way out. But there are opportunities. So that's what the reason I bring this up, that the more we travel by road, especially in this country, that the road network is so good. You have the interstate, the highways, you're traveling. And when you're traveling, make dua to Allah that, oh Allah, use me for the khidmah service of the deen. Oh Allah, use me for the sake of da'wah. So opportunity comes to you. So this way, when the opportunity comes to you, you capitalize on it and you grab it and you use it for the sake of the deen of Allah. And all we have to do is just do effort, amal. Hidayah is in the hands of Allah. We are not guides. We can't guide anybody. I did not guide that lady at the gas station, store over there, and I can never guide anybody because our Prophet Muhammad SAW cannot guide anybody. Can you imagine that? If he, as a prophet of Allah, cannot guide anybody, who are we to guide anybody? Allah said that in the Quran. إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. You, a prophet of Allah, cannot guide those whom you love. This ayah was revealed after he was urging his uncle Abu Talib. His uncle, his Abu Talib, he was encouraging him, just say the shahada and I'll take care of the rest, ya ammi. Allah revealed this ayah to Rasulullah. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You can't guide anybody, or prophet of Allah, especially the ones you love, you can't guide them. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah guides those who seek guidance. مَنْ يَشَاء doesn't mean that who Allah wills. It means those who seek guidance, Allah will give them the guidance. And that is why when this ayah was revealed, we know very clear that we have nothing to guide people. For us, the only thing that is there, as Allah said to Prophet Muhammad in Surah Ma'idah, Surah 5, وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغِ وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغِ. And there is nothing upon us, there is no burden or responsibility upon us except al-balagh. Balagh meaning information, processing of information, spreading of information, invitation to people. So if you are doing balagh, you have done your job. And if you do the balagh, the information relay, in the best way, the best manner, you have done your job, that it will attract people towards it. And that's why we have to steer the conversation for a dawah. Whatever conversation you have, wherever you have it, whether, I keep saying this, find opportunities for interactions with non-Muslims in everywhere. Because you can't just be standing on the corner of a street and saying, hey, come and talk to me. Hey, come and ask me a question. Hey, come. That is like, I would say that is passive dawah, because you're standing and waiting for an opportunity. Active dawah is when you are interacting with individuals, when you're talking to people, or a cup of tea, or over a cup of coffee or something, and you are interacting with people in your workplace, in your school, college, neighborhood, or anything where you are interacting in any scenario, wherever you're interacting with a non-Muslim. Don't just let that opportunity pass by and go there. Oh, no, I shouldn't talk to them about Islam. This is not the right time to talk Islam. Every time is the right time to talk about Islam. Every situation is the right time to talk about Islam. It is shaitan who's putting whispers in our mind that no, Don't talk about Islam in this situation. This and that. Don't talk about Islam here. What are they going to talk about? They're gonna say that you are a missionary, or you're proselytizing, or you are promoting your faith. No, you don't have to be so, you know, how should I put it? You don't have to be so blunt that you are talking about Islam. You can be discreet. Discreet, like hidden. You embed words in your sentences in such a way that it relays to them that you are telling them about your faith. For example, sentences such as words such as, "Oh, I do this because as a Muslim we're supposed to do that." "Oh, we do this because as Muslims we're supposed to do that." In Islam, which is my faith, by the way, in case you didn't know that, in Islam we do this, in Islam we do that, in Islam we're supposed to do this, in Islam we're obligated to do that. You know, you just putting everything in third party, third context, and the person will not even feel it. They are just receiving end. It's like, okay, oh, okay, is that why you do that? Okay, I see. Oh, is that why you Muslims do that? Okay, is that why in Islam they take? Oh, okay. So you are relaying information embedded in an indirect fashion manner without coming across as if you're proselytizing or trying to do dawah. So indirect dawah is the best dawah, and character dawah, living dawah is the best dawah, the behavior dawah. Like I said, that lady asked point blank question at a cashier, why why majority Muslim men don't look us in the eye? I mean, that question itself is fully loaded, heavily loaded. It's an embedded question. That what is it loaded with? Observation. A non-Muslim lady, has been observing a specific gender, has been observing a specific type of people in that gender, has been observing their behavior. That behavior of Muslim men went a long way to put impact on her brain, that she came up with this question. And lo behold, I just happened to be in that right place at the right time, in the right situation, to get that question and an answer. So that is what we need to do, brothers and sisters. Create opportunities for da'wah in our lifestyle, in our living. Of course, with this pandemic, everybody in a lockdown, sitting at home, you can't interact. Dawah is all about interaction. What did Rasulullah do in Mecca? He was walking in the streets, in the avenues, in the alleys of Mecca, interacting with people. What was he doing in Medina? Was he just sitting in the masjid and sitting there, okay, Allah, 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 Allah? He was in the street, in the thick and thin of everything, interacting with people in the souk, in the bazaar, in the markets, talking to people. What is dawah? It's conversation, dialogue. If you just sit at home and live your American dream, there's no way that dawah is going to come and knock at your door with an opportunity. We have to get out there and live our life. You don't have to go out there and start grabbing everybody on the street. Hey, I want to talk to you about Islam. Hey, come here. I want to talk to you about the Quran. Hey, listen to me. Give me your ear. No, you interact. And as the interactions come, opportunities come wherever they are, this is your opportunity for da'wah. And of course, the next session we can talk about how to answer tough questions, because simple, easy questions, people just ask simple, easy questions, easy to answer, you do that. But when they start asking you tough questions, mind-boggling questions that literally will boil your brains up and something, that is where the test of da'wah, the test of the ingredients of da'i come to test practicing, because then you have to really show your true mettle. You have to show your true character, your true values that you live for, without compromising any of the aspects of Islam. And last but not the least, the most important thing of dawah is enjoy it, live it, enjoy it. It's a passion. Dawah is a passion. You have to enjoy dawah. It's not a monotonous, dull, boring thing that, oh, I got to talk to people about Islam. All right, mister, let me tell you what Islam is all about. Islam is all about believing one God called Allah. And if you're going to start talking to people like this about Islam, heck, you might as well just shut up and be quiet, because they ain't going to listen to you, because you sound so dull and boring. Right, mister? Who's going to listen? I mean, with this kind of attitude, they're going to say, just shut up. I don't want to listen to you about Islam. You got to show the passion, the love, and constantly you got to do pep talk to yourself. Standing in the mirror in your house, and when you are making your hair up and everything, You know, one more day, one more opportunity, one more day to Allah gave me life on this earth. One more opportunity to talk about Islam. Because once we die, that's it. You know, down there 6 feet under the ground, sleeping there in the grave, as much dawah you want to do, you ain't coming back, brother and sister. There's no way Allah's gonna give you a second life to come back here. So now that we are alive and especially living in this country, this is it. This is the golden opportunity. This is all the time we have. Sitting in the grave in Barzakh down there, no matter how many times we plead, Allah, Allah, just give me one more chance. I wasted time. I was so busy making money. I was so busy raising my kids. I was so busy raising a family. I was so busy in my business. I was so busy in my career. Just give me one more chance, one more mahla. No matter how much you beg Allah in the grave, guess what? He's not going to give us a second chance. Allah said that in the Quran. The last ayah of Surah Munafiqun. وَلَنْ يُؤَخِّرَ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا وَلَنْ يُؤَخِّرَ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا. Allah will not delay any nafs, any soul when their ajal, when their death comes. Every day I wake up, I say, thank you, Ya Allah. One more day, one more opportunity. Let me interact with people at a gas station, at a grocery stop, you know, this or that or there. Even a smile is a da'wah. Every time you fill up gas, especially us New Jersey and people in New Jersey, you know, you don't have to get out of the car because someone comes up there. Whoever it is, if they're not a Muslim, whoever's filling gas for you at a gas station, if they're not a Muslim, opportunity for dawah, even smiling. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, this much. And if you are filling up gas from the same gas station every day, every week, guess what? They're seeing you every time. And the smile that you give them every day, every week, every month, one day is going to make them ask you a question. Sir, ma'am, if you don't mind me asking, every time you come here to fill up gas in this place, you're always smiling. Why? Bingo. Now is your chance to talk. Now, if you have the time, you can park your car on the side and start talking to them. Or while you're there in that brief moment, give that answer in such a way it creates curiosity in that mind of that person. They go back and research and learn more. So live your da'wah, living experience, living Islam is the most dynamic form of da'wah. There is no other form of da'wah. But the most important thing is enjoy it. Love it. You have to love it. This is the work of Rasulullah. This is the work of Allah. He did it. And it's a big, big responsibility, and it's a big, big privilege that Allah gave it to us. Remember what I said in the beginning of this session today. Allah did not give this opportunity to the previous aqwam, the previous qawm, the previous ummahs that live. Qawm of Dawood alayhi salam, qawm of Sulaiman alayhi salam, qawm of Salih alayhi salam, qawm of this, qawm of that, qawm of that. They did not have this privilege. They didn't have this opportunity. They were told, hands off, back off. We have a prophet on earth living. He's doing it. We are so privileged. We are so honorable that Allah chose the ummah of Muhammad sallam that, look, you guys do this work of the prophet because no more prophet is coming. People in previous qawm, they were dying for this opportunity. They were begging, please give us this job, give us this opportunity to give dawah. They were requesting. We didn't even ask for it. We didn't even request. We got it in a plate. God gifted by birth to us that be a da'i of Rasulullah sallallahu. And I just feel so sad how many Muslims waste opportunity, especially right here in America. How many Muslims, 7 million, 5 million Muslims in America, and they don't even think about. Dawah is the least priority of average Muslim. If you take a survey of 100 Muslims, just go do that. Do your own self. Ask 100 people that you know as Muslims. Ask them, is dawah your first priority? Dawah? What is dawah? What are you talking about? Just go do that. Ask your uncle, aunt, siblings, cousins, family, nephew, niece. Ask 100 people in your circle of friends. Just ask them, do me a favor. Just do this on your own. Ask 100 people and then see how many of those 100 say, dawah is my first priority. Dawah is for me my existence value. How many of that 100 say that? 10, 20, 30, 40? You'll be lucky if you got 10 people, 10% of people of 100 that you ask, your friends, your family, your circle of people. I'm not saying go out on the street and do a survey. You have 100 people in your phone, pick up your phone and just look in your contacts. 100 people call them, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Is dawa a priority for you in life? Yes or no? No, 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 yes, yes. How many yeses you get from 100 people? So, sorry, I get so worked up because dawa's in my blood. I just cannot sleep at night thinking there are so many people in this country who will die without listening to La ilaha illallah Rasulullah. Nursing homes, hospice care, cancer patients, terminally ill people, never heard. Old senior citizen home, old people home, never heard about Islam, never heard about Allah, and they're dying. People in hospital are dying. I just cannot fathom that I'm sleeping at my bed at night and there are people dying in this country who never heard Allah, never heard Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, never heard Quran. What answer am I going to give to Allah that there are people dying in New Jersey and Bud Lake around you and you did not have the chance to go and talk to them? Allah musta'an. May Allah forgive me, forgive all of us. May Allah forgive our sins. May Allah forgive us for being so negligent, for being so lazy for da'wah. May Allah forgive us and not hold us accountable for every single person who misses this opportunity to learn about Islam. We really got to do something, brothers and sisters. We got to wake up and we have to wake others up. We have to share this fire, this burning candle light. You have to ignite this fire in others. And who better to do that than NJ Dow? Not just in New Jersey, but all over America, inshallah. There's a question here. Do you have any advice on giving dawah to non-practicing friends and family? Yes, wisdom, hikmah. Be easy on them. That slide that I had in the beginning, let me go back to that slide. That is the best thing that you can do. There we go. There we go. There we go. This one. Use all three of these over here: kindness, wisdom, patience. All three of these are most important to give dawah to non-practicing friends and family. Be patient with them. And on top of these three things, the fourth and most important thing, make dua for them. We tend to not realize the power of dua. Seldom do we realize the power of dua. I tell you one thing. This is a secret that I never told anybody. I'm telling you guys. There is this one individual. I'm not gonna name that relationship because if I name that relationship, then you will know who it is. So there is this one individual in my life for whom I kept making dua years and years and years that Allah bring them to the right path, bring them to Surat al-Mustaqim. They are my blood relative, right? And I keep making dua for them, dua, and also and talking to them, giving them advice, nasiha. But remember, a lot of times people get upset, agitated, irritated. Don't give me advice about Islam. Don't tell me about Islam. I know Islam better than you. But you keep making dua 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. This person flipped 180 degrees so much today. Now this person is so religious in Islam that he or she is giving me advice. Just imagine that. This individual was so far, like the brother puts the question, non-practicing. This person was so far away from practicing Islam. And thanks to the dua in tahajjud, in salah, and 24/7, day and night, week by week, month by month, kept making years for years, I was just stunned. I said, Allah, you listen to dua. Allahu Akbar. This individual did not want to listen from me anything about Islam. Now he is giving me advice about Islam that, you should do this. I said, thank you. Thank you, Ya Allah. Thank you for bringing that person into Islam. So, brothers and sisters, never underestimate the power of dua. Dawah is two things. Dawah ilallah, bring people to Allah, and dawah to Allah. I mean, dawah, dua to Allah. Dawah and dua. And so the more dua you make, look at the power of who am I to explain this about the power of dua when you see the incident of Rasulullah. He made dua for Umar ibn Khattab. Allah listened to his dua. How did Umar ibn Khattab die? Where was Umar ibn Khattab? A staunch enemy, a staunch, aggressive person to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Islam. And look how he died as the second Khalifa of Islam. Where was Umar ibn Khattab? Where did Umar ibn Khattab ended? All this by the dua of Rasulullah. Allahumma ahdi, Allahumma ahdi ahad al-umarain, or Allahumma ansur Islam bi ahad al-umarain. Oh Allah, strengthen Islam by one of the two Umars. Oh Allah, guide one of the two Umars. And that it came in the bucket of Umar ibn Khattab. Had Rasulullah not made that dua, where would Umar be? In fact, if you read the biography, the seerah of Umar ibn Khattab, in one of the incidences, it's mentioned that one of the people who were narrating, they said that that Umar ibn Khattab one time was crying, and people asked in the Masjid Nabawi, after leading the salah over there, and somebody asked him, "Why are you crying?" And he was crying so much that his beard got wet. He said, "I'm crying that look, had Rasulullah not made dua for me, where would I be? Today I am at this position. I am the Amirul Mu'mineen, Khalifatul Waqt. Allah has given me this vast piece of land to govern. And all of this," he said, "I'm crying all of this because of the dua of a Prophet of Allah who made dua for me. And Allah listened to his dua. He changed my heart. He flipped me around. I came into Islam. I became so passionate about Islam. I delivered and I'm working for Islam. All this because of the dua." So, brothers and sisters, if you have any family member, any friends who are so far away from Islam, how far can they be from Islam? Can they be farther than Umar ibn Khattab, who wanted to kill the Prophet ﷺ? At least your acquaintance, your colleague, your friend, or your family member is not that far from Islam that they want to kill you. Here is an individual who wanted to kill the Prophet of Allah, who wanted to kill the person who brought the message of Quran, the message of Allah. And he ended up becoming the Khalifa, the Caliph of Islam. So whoever you know, from your friends, from your family, from your colleagues, acquaintances, whoever you know from your neighborhood who's not practicing Muslim, dua, tahajjud, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 in the morning. And don't just make dua one time and stop and give up. Say, "Oh, forget it. Allah's not listening." Persistency, consistency. Keep doing it, and you will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listens to dua, but it takes time. And it only takes time not because Allah wants to delay it. It takes time because of our a'mal. We are weak. Our du'as are not listened instantly because we are weak. Our iman is weak. Our a'mal is weak. Our af'al is weak. For Allah, He listens to dua instantly. For Him, there is no delay. There's no time lag. Allah said that in the Quran already in Surah Baqarah. That famous ayah, which is in Surah Baqarah in the ruku of the ayat of Siyam, fasting, where Allah says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. And when they ask you, O Prophet, about me, how far am I? Tell them I'm qareeb, I'm very close. And then Allah says the next words in that same ayah, أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I answer the call of the caller, I answer the dua of the person when and where they ask me. But if there's a delay, remember it's because of us. We are weak. The weakness of our iman, the weakness of our a'mal, our deeds, delays our dua to be accepted. If we increase our iman, increase our a'mal, increase our Islamic akhlaq, adab, everything, the dua, like the dua of the Sahaba. The Sahaba, Ridwan Ajma'in, they would make dua, it would be answered instantly. Like the dua of Rasulullah, he made dua and Allah listened. So, brothers and sisters, keep making dua for everyone and never underestimate the power of dua. And it's almost time for end. So now we will end with that. Over to you, Brother Ali Yusuf, our host, our moderator.
Assalamu alaikum again. And Brother Jawad, Sheikh Jawad, thank you so much for the entire lecture you've given us. This was extremely beneficial and extremely crucial in our time of need, especially when there's so many things going on in the world that we need to fix, not just with the people themselves, but also with our religion and our connection with Allah. So greatly appreciate everyone looks like we have just a couple more minutes. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the comments and I'll read them out for the Sheikh. And or Sheikh actually could read the comments too. So if you guys are willing to ask any questions, I'll give you guys a few more seconds to fill it in. Sheikh Joad, if you have anything else that you wanted to add in these last few minutes, please feel comfortable to do so. If there's anything at all.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add is we should do this more often. I mean, I have so many other, this is one slide I have, slide deck. I have about 10 more of these slide decks, not 10 slides, but 10 different presentations. So we can make this like an ongoing thing. That's only my request to NJ Dawah and the management and the brothers and sisters in NJ Dawah, that we should have more of these. And inshallah, if we can also not just have these, but do some practical examples, maybe have videos of these people who are attending and they do this dawah and upload videos of their dawah interactions, some kind of engagement. So these are some ideas that are coming to my mind in terms of understanding that, we can make this a more practical approach of dawah and not just a theoretical thing that we do learn through a online program and course, inshallah. The other thing I would like to invite all the attendees is that we have a National Dawah Academy. You can, just Google search. ICNA has launched a National Dawah Academy, NDA, and they have constantly classes and courses going on in training for Dawah. There's a whole plethora, abundance of teachers and scholars, imams, shuyukh doing classes. It's a semester basis, so it's 3 months at a time. Fall semester is, in fact, starting next week. You can still register. It's not too late. Just go to NDA, National Dawah Academy, ICNA National Dawah Academy. Go to their website, register with their online, and you can attend the classes. Even if you cannot pay the fees, you can say that in the registration, and they will waive the fees for you. But do attend those courses because there's a lot of scholars and teachers in that program that are doing it. So you will get a variety of information on Dawah from these esteemed scholars that are teaching over there, like Dr. Sabil, Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid, Sheikh Isa ibn Matta, and Brother Eddie and others. There are many in that Dawah Academy, inshallah. So if somebody wants to pursue on a regular basis Dawah courses, National Dawah Academy would be the best place to be, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. That's wonderful, Sheikh. Inshallah, anyone who would like to be part of those activities, please, message. You can either message us at Njadawa, and we can get you in contact with Sheikh Imam Jawad, or if you would like to reach Imam Jawad directly, I believe we have his information from. I believe it's on the ISB website, correct?
Yeah, or you can email me at jawad@yslam.org. It's very easy. JAWAD@yslam. Simple email, just my first name @yslam.org.
Alhamdulillah, perfect. There you go. So, looks like there are not many questions coming in. So at all. So, Imam Jawad, thank you so much for such a informational lecture and something that.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank Brother Saad Khurshid and all the other brothers in NJ Dawah for giving me this opportunity, inshallah, for this program. I really enjoyed it. Jazakallah khair, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Yeah. Hope to see you soon. Inshallah, we'll try to keep this going for upcoming months. So everyone, please look forward to seeing other events and lectures that are going to be coming. And not just through StreamYard, we're going to inshallah have our upcoming conference. We're going to try to see where we're going to be able to have it, whether it will be online again like it was last year, or if we could try to do it in person. Logistics are still being sought out, but definitely look forward to the NJ Dawah conference this year, whether it's online or if it's in person. And without further ado, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for joining.